up, y'all? It's John Master Lee here. I'm all about helping you turn your passion into a business.
Good things happen to those who hustle.
And today, let's talk about how to pick a name for your YouTube channel.
Let's do this.
Now, I don't know about you, but every time I'm launching a new YouTube channel or launching a new business, I am always daunted with what should I come up with. I have about 5 different YouTube channels and I've changed them. I've changed them a lot, trying to get the right one that feels, ooh, that's perfect. So I'm just gonna share with you some tips that I learned along the way that hopefully will ease some of that stress for you.
Let's cut to the chase.
Now, the first thing that I do is I have a set of tools that I use that makes it a lot easier to try to come up with a bunch of names. The first one, of course, is the thesaurus. I use it a lot. I remember when I was coming up with a name for one of my games and I was trying to think of something that meant empowering. And so boom, I typed it in there and I'd come up with a bunch of different words. And I like the word rising because it also kind of conveys something going upwards. Another great tool, especially if you're creating something that fits a particular younger demographic, is something like Urban Dictionary. It's a compilation of different types of slang that the younger generation uses. And from that, you can get inspired with something that might be a twist on one of those words. But let's say you're out of ideas, all right? And you could just really use something to help spark that creative mind to kick in. You definitely got to go check out this site called Namelix. They have a really cool tool that's called a business name generator. And if you type in a couple of keywords of things that you really wanted to have in there, let's say video games or let's play, it'll generate a bunch of different types of words using artificial intelligence. Some of these are made up words, other ones is a combination of different stuff. There might be something there that makes you instantly go, oh, I love that. I want to use that. Or it might spark you to think of another variant of that. Now with these tools, what you're trying to do is use a technique that helps brainstorm ideas. Now the other tool you really should use, and along with that, is simply a spreadsheet. Now I actually have a dedicated spreadsheet with about 10 different tabs with hundreds of different words that I've written down over the years. That's because I start up a lot of different companies and I found that keeping this as a repository is actually very useful for me to go back and reflect on what type of words I want to combine to help me kickstart ideas. More often than not, the right idea is literally just one word, one letter, one pronunciation off from something that you already have in your head. And having this list allows you to kind of just go through one thing at a time till something is triggered finally.
Now I get it.
As an example, let's say you're coming up with a brand name for your channel and you want to start up a gaming channel. And your channel right now is simply called John Master Lee. Now, John Master Lee actually is my gamer tag from many years ago and it just kind of stuck with me ever since working in the gaming industry. But if I were just to take my name, John Lee, and I want to do something that had to do with games, I can combine a word that is popular in the gaming world with my name, and that together becomes very powerful. For instance, just even something as generic as John Lee plays games is a good starting point, right? And that could eventually translate into John Lee boss mode, right? Things that sound like, this is definitely a gaming channel. And this is why that is so important. Your gaming channel name is one of the few things that new viewers come in and actually see. They see your video, they see the title, and they see the person that posted it. Your name will always show up. So if there's something in your name that suggests that you are a channel that is dedicated to making this type of content, you're much more likely to convert that user to become a subscriber or to check out some of your other videos. Now, the other tip I have is if you are coming up with a brand new name for yourself, like you want to come up with a persona, this trick is pretty powerful. You think about all the names from Marvel. What are the ones that always seem to stick out? It seems like everyone can remember, right? You got Peter Parker, Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer. And the reason why is alliteration, which is when you repeat a word using the same sound from the other word, is a very powerful technique to get people to remember something. It just makes it a lot easier. And so if you're thinking of a brand new name for your channel or even for a brand, think of something that might be alliteration driven. Now, as you are coming up with your name, the first thing you want to do is, of course, check if someone else has used the name or not. Now, it's okay if someone else has actually used a similar name, but just realize that if you don't like that other person's content and if that person is actually really, really huge, then you might want to avoid it. Like calling your channel IGN is probably going to result in a lot of headache for you because everyone's going to think that this is just a knockoff. Ain't nobody going to go check it out. And yeah, maybe IGN will come after you for, copying that name. Now, because YouTube allows you to change your username, don't worry about getting stuck with one thing. Continually change it till you feel like you found something that really starts to fit with you, that sits with you well. Now, supposedly, There is a limitation to how many times you can change your username in YouTube. In fact, Google, the parent company for YouTube, will oftentimes come up with a little warning message saying, hey, this Google account, you're changing your name again. Just to let you know, we don't like that. People don't change their names that often in real life, so we try to limit this. I can tell you right now, I have a couple of channels that I use as test accounts, and I've changed the name well over a dozen times, and they've never stopped me once. So I don't think it's actually a problem. And don't worry about whether or not you'll eventually get the URL, because you can actually have a URL that's different than your username as well. The only thing that you have to make sure about is that particular URL isn't taken by somebody else. And my last tip is probably pretty obvious. You know, you're gonna find that there's a lot of usernames that are already taken. It's really hard to come up with something original today.
The struggle is real.
I sometimes spend a lot of time trying to come up with the right name. The one thing you don't want to do is get too long. In other words, this isn't your email address where it's johnheavenly88z@yahoo.com, which actually I think my original Yahoo account was pretty close to something like that. You have to make it short. You have to make it easy to spell. You have to make it easy to pronounce. And the best example of something like this that I can think of is, for those of you who are big fans of Gary Vaynerchuk, his last name, hard to pronounce, even harder to spell, which is why he just shortens it to Gary V. It's as simple as that.
I love it.
All right, y'all. I hope these tips are helpful to at least get your brain kicked in to think of new ideas for your channel. If you come up with a pretty cool name, leave a comment below. Or if you want people to give you advice in terms of, hey, what do you think about my channel's name? Leave it below and let's see what people think.
If you like this video, make sure you leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe.